FIFA World Cup 2022 was inaugurated on November 20th in Qatar. The opening ceremony reflected Arabic culture. Apart from the cultural difference, this is also the first FIFA World Cup which is the most controversial, surrounding with allegations and criticisms alike. The criticisms and allegations kept increasing ever since the Qatar won the bid to host World Cup by FIFA authority in 2010. Hello everyone, welcome to Smart Expat. In this video, we will uncover the truth behind all the controversies and allegations against Qatar's hosting of FIFA World Cup 2022. While Qatar has stood strong on its stance against all the criticisms and continue to carry the World Cup in its own way, there has been a surge of Western and European fans against Qatar and the World Cup. But what are the actual problems with Qatar's hosting of FIFA World Cup? Why were the European and Western fans so opposed to the tournament? What were the allegations and how true were the allegations? Here is the list of problems and allegations with Qatar's hosting the World Cup. The World Cup bid and the dates of the tournament. Qatar won the right to host tournament specifically designated for summer. Bids were developed and votes were cast for an event that was supposed to take place in June and July. However, Qatar's bid for the tournament made no mention of hosting it in winter. This is how Qatar genuinely proposed it would combat the soaring temperatures of the country. Whereas the United States, which finished runner-up to the Qatar in voting, has a right to be annoyed that it has lost its bid to host FIFA. As per United States proposal, at the time of bid, each of the 5 stadiums will harness the power of sun's rays to use it to power the stadiums. When the games are not taking place, the solar installations at the stadiums will export the energy onto the power grid. All this was neglected during the voting of FIFA hosting and Qatar won the bid. Further, the dates of the tournament has become a problem for European people, as November and December event is an issue due to its conflict with European domestic football calendar. The vast majority of players who make the tournament so special for fans and so lucrative for FIFA come from European top leagues. Around 74% of the all players present at the last year's tournament in Brazil came from Europe. European leagues will provide the stars whose fame FIFA will undoubtedly exploit to maximize its marketing revenue. It's understandable why they are feeling so annoyed. However, it's worth considering many of other leagues around the world have to adjust their schedules or sacrifice players for Summer World Cup and would argue it's only fair for Europe to take their turn now. Well, this was a reminder that world doesn't revolve around Europe and the West. The corruption allegations. Following FIFA's decision in 2010, critics reacted with a feeling of discontent about how Qatar had won its bid to stage 2022 World Cup. 2 distinct external investigations subsequently took place. Swiss prosecutors looked specifically at money laundering in conjunction with decisions to award the 2018 and 2022 tournaments to Russia and Qatar. Many of those criticisms might be true, but one popular charge, corruption, is more complicated than it seems. Whatever Qatar did or did not do to secure right to host World Cup, any charges of corruption also implicate FIFA has something to do there. The Qataris followed FIFA rules and logic behind those rules. The Qataris looked to win the right to host 2022 World Cup, played the game in a similar way that of Russians in 2018, Brazilians in 2014, South Africans in 2010 and Germans in 2006 appear to have played in the past. When it comes to allegations about corruptions, it is really not the Qataris who have the case to answer. That's where the FIFA has some explanation to do. The counter argument is that even if the accusations is true, it is not the first time it has happened. Look into the FIFA records, previous World Cups hosts, how they have won their votes. Brazil and Russia were the last 2 World Cups that were held. They were also suspected of having greased the right palms to secure the golden goose that is the World Cup. And these are just 2 examples. Football history is full of cases where several so-called developed nations were guilty of corrupt practices, not just while bidding for the tournament but also in terms of match fixing in their domestic leagues. The treatment of migrant workers. In a report published by The Guardian, more than 6,500 migrant workers from India, Pakistan, Nepal, Bangladesh and Sri Lanka have died in Qatar since it's won the right to host World Cup 10 years ago, the report states. However, The Guardian failed to cite official medical records explaining the circumstances of the deaths and whether or not the deceased workers worked on any of the World Cup related projects. The article also read that an average of 12 migrant workers from the South Asian nations died each week since December 2010. Statistics obtained from the embassies do not include just migrant workers but rather the total number of all deaths of nationals of India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Nepal and Sri Lanka across all occupations. These figures include those who passed away due to natural causes, chronic illness and even traffic accidents. The disinformation appears in Guardian report from the title itself, which tries to amplify the impact of number of recipients and link to the number of victims to the World Cup projects. Such an approach to using numbers and data is the one that often tries to amplify the impact of stories by linking what might be true to propaganda purposes. This is clear when you dive deeper into the report.
For people who live here, because it's not being portrayed accurately or fairly in my view. Like I said, I've lived here for 6 years. I live with and amongst Qatari people and live in their country, which is welcoming and accepting, and living with a lot of different nationalities all living together. It's a very safe environment. I've never felt so.
It brings a bigger question. It's what comes first? Is it development or human rights? In this case, we've given them development. We've let them host the World Cup. Now they need to show that development can help human rights, not.
It's unfounded. I think they're picking at straws. We don't know why. There's a lot of false media on the migrant workers. I'm a migrant worker. You know, we're all that work here are migrants. It happens. But it's not as bad as what people say. We've had a great time here. And we've had a life that we wouldn't have had in England. You know, from a work perspective, from a professional perspective. And
it's not like England where you can walk down the road, find a pub. They're all in the hotels. And it's just, like I said.
According to the report, a number of 37 deaths occurred likely directly to the construction of the World Cup stadiums. 34 of them are classified as non-work related by Events Organizing Committee. In reality, Qatar has transformed its healthcare and labor laws in past decades. Since 2010, there has been a consistent decline in mortality rate as a result of health and safety reforms they have introduced, the GCO statement added, noting that there are strict punishments including jail time for business owners who violate safety standards or limit on summer working hours. All citizens and foreign nationals have access to free first-class healthcare, and they continue to implement policies to further improve the health of population. Authorities also set a minimum wage of 1,000 Qatari riyals, which applies for all workers of all nationalities in both private and governmental sectors, including domestic workers. In recent years, Qatar has introduced a series of major reforms, including amending laws to give workers freedoms of movement, allowing them greater job mobility. It also has promised better pay and access to justice in cases of abuse, said Steve Cockburn, head of economic and social justice at Amnesty International in the report. In the past year alone, the government introduced several historic labor reforms to tackle unjust treatment of migrant workers across the country, including ditching the no objection certificate, dismantling the controversial kafala system completely, and providing protection for the workers in the country. Qatar has come a long way improving the conditions of foreign workers, not only in the World Cup projects but in all Qatari sectors, and has imposed many restrictions and penalties on the companies in the event of non-compliance with the state instructions. FIFA President Gianni Infantino has come out in the defense of Qatar against Western hypocrisy amid criticism of Gulf country hosting the World Cup 2022.
I feel Qatari, Arab, African, gay, disabled, migrant worker. It's not easy every day to read all these critics for decisions which have been taken 12 years ago when nobody of us was there. For what we Europeans have been doing in the last 3,000 years around the world, we should be apologizing for the next 3,000 years before starting to give moral lessons.
Accuse some in the West, the critics, of being hypocritical. Isn't it hypocritical to, on the one hand, say that FIFA stands for equality and non-discrimination, while at the same time supporting an event in a country which has discriminatory laws?
The FIFA president stressed that Qatar is a sovereign state and doesn't require recommendations from European countries on that issue. I am proud of everyone who contributed to this event, Infantino said. The attitude towards LGBT rights.
The other question, listen, everybody's welcome in Doha. We do not stop anybody from coming to Doha with any different backgrounds, any different belief. Qatar is a very welcoming country.
Same-sex sexual activity is completely outlawed in Qatar, with a punishment of up to 7 years in prison or possibly even death for Muslims. But don't worry, Qatar's Sport Minister Nasser Al Ali has said that the host country will come up with creative solutions on the issue of LGBT fans or players traveling to the tournament. Al-Ali told the Associated Press last year that Qatar doesn't want to create this impression that we don't care about our tradition and our ethical values. We are studying all these issues. We can adapt, we can be creative to have people coming and enjoying the games without losing the essence of our culture and respecting the preference of the people coming here. I think there is a lot we can do. As per Tamim bin Hamad, Amir of Qatar, everyone is welcome in Doha. Qatar respects everyone
we will
and
not
every
stop
culture.
anybody from coming, visiting and enjoying the football. Each of us have different cultures. We welcome everybody, but also we expect and we want people to respect our culture. So this is my answer going to be for you.
Obviously that has been one of the big things in the build-up to this tournament, that the rainbow flag will be allowed. There have been some confusion. Could you clear that up for fans to come with rainbow flags?
Look, we've always said that everybody's welcome here. All we ask is for people to be respectful of the culture. We ask for people to understand that, different cultures, as long as you don't do anything that harms other people, if you're not destroying public property, as long as you're behaving in a way that's not harmful, then everybody's welcome and you have nothing to worry about. Yes.
So they could show some form of...
If I held your hand, Rob, right now, and I walked outside the street for hours and hours and hours, nobody would say anything to us.
As per recent update, homosexuals are safe in Qatar. However, they cannot display affection in public and cannot display their flags in public. The alcohol ban U-turn. Just 48 hours before Sunday's kickoff of opening ceremony, beer was banned in and around stadium premises. Alcohol is largely prohibited in Islamic nation, but the organizers sparked fury from the fans with their dramatic decision. Football's world governing body FIFA said beer would not be sold for the fans around in any of the 8 World Cup stadiums. Following the discussion with the host, it said beer sales would be focused on fan zones and licensed venues, removing sales point of beers from the Qatar's FIFA World Cup 2022 stadium's perimeters. The FIFA officials has given no reason for surprise decision to ban alcohol in stadium premises. FIFA's president Gianni Infantino said that World Cup fans can survive for 3 hours a day without beer after the sales were banned around the stadiums. I think personally if for 3 hours a day you cannot drink a beer, you will survive, he told this opening press conference in Doha. The same applies in France and Spain and Scotland.
Even now, drink beer. We're here to watch the soccer game. We're here to watch the world-class soccer. We can get it anywhere in the world. We can get beer everywhere. We can go to any place right here that serves and we have it.
We've not really bumped into a lot of England fans. There's a lot of Mexicans here, a lot of Argentinians and that. We've had a good laugh so far. So,
If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe to the channel.